read that.
Uh-huh.
Playing not to lose. So you playing it just because you want to be part of it,
Yeah.
but you don't want to be the best at it.
Yep.
So whether it's in your career, whether it's in your goals, you're doing it just for the heck of it. You're just doing it because you don't want to be left out, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And but you don't really have a goal, which is really, really like bad mentality, in my opinion, to have.
Yep.
Because playing not to lose.
Yeah. So here's another thing.
Mhm.
So I would say that it's
Start.
all right. So this time you get to actually see that we're in the dark and we're doing the podcast again in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's just one of those days.
I'm
We'll
ready.
get back to normal scheduled program soon enough. But welcome back, everybody. Shots of Info, episode number 38. I hope
7
7. We'll see
or 8.
which time. We'll see.
Bro, I
We'll see
lost
which
count.
one who's right. We'll see who's right.
Thanks.
So quick disclaimer. This is just a conversation between me and Mike. Everything we say here is for entertainment purposes only. And yeah,
For
that's
our
pretty
own
much it.
entertainment.
Mostly
Nah,
for our entertainment, mostly, yeah. And just so I kind of have a record, we can go back to this as a catalog. And later on in the future, look back in the episodes and see what we talked about and see if these things hold up or they don't.
Facts.
It's like a journal in video.
There you go. It's easy to write. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Shots of Info. This is Mike. Today on our topics, we present to you personal development, playing to win versus playing not to lose. Ooh. Fitness, why is difficult to lose fat? And finance, commodities, what are commodities? And news updates. Okay, so
Right. All right.
get us started.
So
What do you think?
let's start off. So playing to win versus playing not to lose. So I came across this topic not that long ago. I would say like a year or two ago. Essentially, it's the idea of in life we're presented with situations where we can either play to win or play not to lose, and you definitely see this play out in, like with people that are trading and investing. They take opportunities in such a way where they're really managing the risk and they're really not willing to take any chances on anything, or they go out of the way to take a chance and see if they can win big,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But in life, we're presented with these similar situations. And again, with personal development, we usually get right into the dating scene. So we'll jump right into that as well. So here's a playing to win versus not playing to lose scenario. You like a girl and you think she likes you and, there's an attraction there, but you guys never talked.
Mhm.
Playing to win mentality would be you go talk to the girl. Playing not to lose mentality would be not talking to the girl so you don't get rejected because there's an opportunity that she might reject you. So that's the idea between playing to win versus playing not to lose.
Right.
What do you think?
No, definitely, especially on the dating one, that's a really good example. But yes, so playing to win pretty much is you taking the risk and you actually going for it, right? So you're taking the
Mm-hmm.
risk pretty much. And playing not to lose is you staying on the sidelines, staying on the safe side, safe area where you're
Yep.
comfortable. You're just there comfortable. And now you might be asking why I have this on my neck. I'm just comfy and
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing to win. Nah,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right, boom. So yeah, playing to win is pretty much you taking the risk, you doing the things that you want to win in this life, regardless if you lose or regardless if you lose. That's an option, but you know you're playing because you want to win, and that's like in every game. Like every game that you play is gonna be to win. The objective is to win, and when it comes to now that kind of rises the concern that how in the sports or nowadays to the kids they give you a trophy just for participating.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about that? That we can kind of develop that into this section right here.
Yeah. So for sure. So yeah, that goes back to again same topic. So again, with that example, we're promoting that you don't necessarily have to win in order to be successful or
Mm-hmm.
to win, right? Um, to that end, like the reality of the situation is, a lot of times in life, you will fail and you will lose. And
Right.
with that example that you're presenting, what's happening is that we're giving credit and applauding people for failing. And don't get me wrong, that's not bad. It's like you should be pushing for failure, but not for the sake of just failing. It's to learn from your failure so that later on you win, as opposed to just you get a participation trophy simply for showing up.
Correct.
That's not enough in anything in life. You have to put in the work, and there's always going to be situations like that. So I feel like that's really detrimental, especially for the young people, because they're not being taught that this failure isn't something you should congratulate. It's something that you should learn from.
Correct. Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, but I think you kind of putting that idea to the kids since they're kids. Because I remember when I was a kid, I used to go in the game. I used to play soccer a lot. Go into a game straight for the win, and to the point that I was a little bit of a bad loser. I used to cry when I used to lose, and that's something that I built upon. Like I'm always aiming to win,
Yep.
and like I feel like I wouldn't have cried if I was getting a trophy, right? And even like in the school, like me, I was very like a straight A's, as I mentioned before. Every year, I used to aim for that goal. In Ecuador, we call it abanderado, or kind of like valedictorian or salutatorian. Those things, it's something similar in the school that we have. And ever since I was a little kid, I was like, I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be that. And there was one year, I think this was in 6th grade, and this was because this professor, she didn't like me much, and there was this other girl. She gave the diploma to her. That was the only year that I lost like a diploma for best student. But then at the end of the day, as I graduated elementary school, I graduated with the highest honors. So
Right.
if there wasn't that competition, or like if there was like a diploma for everybody, something that I learned here, that they give diploma for everything, because over there a diploma is very, very like meaningful. Like literally, your parents, they would like put it like under a studio, like frame it because it's important. But over
Right.
here, I got like 100 diplomas just sitting there on my, like they don't mean anything, because it reduces the value of it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it kind of encourage that you're playing it not to lose. You're playing it not to just for the heck of it, And also,
Mediocrity. You're not. It's
there you go.
like it's whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it. There's
Go
no. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish it up.
So yeah, like there's no incentive to be better, to be pushing yourself and striving for excellence, simply because at the end of the day you're gonna get something out of it for just showing up.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So there's no incentive for you to actually win. And in this life, you want to win on all aspects, to be honest. Now, playing not to lose. Now, you know what also comes to mind when I read that? Playing not to lose. So you playing it just because you want to be part of it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be the best at it.
Yep.
So whether it's in your career, whether it's in your goals, you're doing it just for the heck of it. You're just doing it because you don't want to be left out, maybe. But you don't really have a goal, which is really, really like bad mentality, in my opinion, to have. Because playing not to lose.
Yeah. So here's another thing. So I would say that it's again go a topic we've talked about, putting more in the finances, risk management. So I would say that the younger you are, the more you should be striving for a playing to win mentality. Simply because you can take these risks and bounce back from them in case they go according to plan. Right. But as you get older, you want to kind of play it a little bit safer, just because you want to protect what you have and not put yourself as much risk, simply because you're not going to be able to bounce back as fast, just from a general health standpoint, right? Like you're older, your body's a little bit slower, you can't react as good. Or when it comes to your finances, you have a lot on the table now to lose. So you want to be more careful and diligent about the way you go about it. But again, you push this into your careers. And schooling, right? So you don't go out of your way to, I don't want to put it, in order to play to win in situations like that, your schooling and your career, you have to make sure that you're doing the thing that you actually want to do. Ooh, this guy just dropped a bunch of stuff on the street. So yeah, you want to make sure you're doing something that you want to do. So hypothetical, let's say like being pressed upon you to become a doctor or a lawyer, and it's not something that you don't. It's something that you don't want to do, right? At that point, you're playing not to lose simply because you don't want to disappoint other people around you. Or if you're working a job that you don't particularly like and you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, that's also another problem. You're playing to lose.
Well, you're playing not to lose.
Yeah, you're playing not to lose simply because you're not going out of your way to figure out a situation where you're going to start doing some type of work that you actually enjoy doing. So
Correct.
in a playing to win scenario, like for schooling, you would be doing something that you actually want to do. And for your career or your work, you should be striving to get to a job that you actually want to do. Even if you, at the end of the day, have to make ends meet and do a work or a job that you don't want to do. But after work, you're doing stuff so that whatever it is on the side that you're doing, your side hustle, ends up becoming something that's profitable, and you don't actually have to do that job that you don't enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's actually, something came to my mind right here, like a really good topic that we can add it to that list later. Playing not to lose also, I feel like, comes with that kind of label of expectations that people have upon us. So I feel like you playing not to lose because you don't want to disappoint the people around you, but you're not enjoying the game. No. You're not enjoying what you're doing because you're not enjoying to win. You're not playing it to win because it fulfills you. Rather, you don't want to disappoint people around you. You know
Again,
what I mean?
Going back to that example, like, hey, your parents want you to become doctors, but the thing that you're really passionate about is music. Right there.
That was you talk about? Sorry, but I didn't understand.
No, that's fine. But and we can dive deeper into the topic, but like right there.
Right.
In an effort to not disappoint people around you, you're never going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to do the things you actually enjoy, which obviously is going to make you miserable. You're going to constantly dread every waking moment of your life because you're going to start doing things that you don't want to do, just to eventually get to the point that you start doing the things that you want to do. So why not just start doing the things you want to do now?
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think that covers it.
Yeah. So I would say, if the younger you are, you should definitely be striving to play to win. And as you get older, you try to do a little bit more risk management and start playing a little bit more playing not to lose. But at the end of the day, you should always be striving to win. Because that,
winners.
I don't know, that I feel like there's so much more satisfaction when you play and you win, as opposed to just playing because you show up, you get a participation trophy.
Yeah, and I feel like things come like much better as well. Like you actually enjoy it. Like I get it that you want to have fun and all, but you should aim to win because winning is literally what gives you the satisfaction of winning. But yeah.
Well, I mean, of life, like that.
Of life, yeah.
We have evolved to win. We're not special. Human beings aren't specialized in any particular thing besides being really good at surviving and winning.
Right.
Well, that's it.
Definitely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Pretty good. Let's move on to fitness because it's been getting too lengthy. So let's try to keep it like half an hour.
Yeah, let's keep it shorter now.
Yeah. Fitness. Why is it difficult to lose fat? Anita advice.
Oof. All right. So there's a couple of things that can be at play for an individual. The first thing that comes to mind is a slow metabolism. So oftentimes what ends up happening for a lot of people that are overweight is that they consume a lot of food, and due to the fact that they're not doing much, their metabolism is really slow. So hypothetically, let's say you consume about 3,000 calories a day, and with your metabolism, you're only burning about 1,500. So that means that it's like half of the calories that you consume is being stored as some sort of energy, simply because, going back to the point that you're not doing anything, probably sitting down all day, you're not really active, you're not burning any calories, you're not moving around. So that energy is going to be stored as body fat. So going back to metabolism, I would say that a way for you to ramp up your metabolism is doing stuff, moving around, getting exercise in, but also building muscle. So this is one of the things that ends up being a detriment later on, or a problem later on, especially for those people that like lose a lot of weight and end up becoming skinny fat. Still becomes an issue of your metabolism, but at this point, it's due to not having enough muscle mass. So you have to build out more muscle mass in order to kind of get rid of that skinny fat, because you need to ramp up your metabolism more. See what else? You got any other thoughts on that?
When it comes to burning fat, yeah, it definitely all comes down to the metabolism that you mentioned, as well as the how consistent you go to the gym, how consistent you, and also the type the workouts you're doing. Because in order for you to lose fat less faster, I realized that different exercises, different type of exercises or routines are going to be applied to different people. For example, maybe some people, they lose fat just by just doing cardio, which you do, but you know they do it like a faster rate. But whereas you who like also do like try to do cardio a lot, you don't. It might be because you know your body works differently. So learning how your body works and how you can maximize, you know, whatever you're trying to do, like build muscle. Usually building muscle burns fat, which is good. So learning about that and finding yourself like what works for you is the best strategy to go about that. And I'm in the process of doing that right now because I need to get back to the gym. I've been too lazy. Not lazy.
Well, I mean, school stuff.
Yeah, I just been too.
But I want to add on to that cardio thing. So yeah, one of the big detriments with cardio, just like doing cardio in order for just weight loss, is that simultaneously you will be losing muscle. So depending on your diet, usually when people are trying to lose weight, they do a lot of cardio and they drop their calories significantly. So at first you will see weight loss, but eventually your metabolism is going to catch up to the fact that you're not eating enough food. And because of that, your body is going to compensate by burning muscle mass on top of burning fat in order to help you have the energy to do the cardio that you're doing. So you want to be very careful not to overdo the cardio, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Always have to have a nice balance of strength training and cardio also with a good diet.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's fair. Oh, also I wanted to include or to add up to what I said. Diet it does play a huge role when it comes to the fat that you store. So if you have like like good fat or bad fat, they have a specific name of it. I don't know, but depending on the type of the type of food that you ingesting can play a huge role. Whether how much fat you're containing, how much water as well.
A lot of that is just like processed foods. So this topic can get really deep simply because now it can start involving hormones. But
too.
If you're eating bad food that's processed, it's going to ramp up your production of estrogen, usually due to the fact that processed foods have things that mimic estrogen in the body. So your body produces more estrogen, which helps you store more body fat. And then that becomes like an ever-evolving cycle where you can't lose fat because you're eating shitty food, which is causing your hormones to bump up in terms of your estrogen, which is telling your body to keep the body fat that you have. So it's a whole thing. So at the end of the day, try to avoid processed foods as much as you can. Try to go with more healthier options for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, that covers that topic for today. And the last topic of today will be commodities and what they are and how you trade them. Brief description, as you were talking, you mentioning earlier, commodities are, you.
Oh, so commodities is basically the buying and selling of just general goods. So I would say one of the most well-known commodities is gold. So metals, right? Gold, silver. I believe you can trade platinum. That's another one. But there's also other things that like are general goods. So you can trade coffee. That's a commodity that you can trade on the stock market. What else? Oil. That's another one.
Energy,
natural gas.
There's
a bunch of them. But go ahead.
To keep it simple, commodity itself, like the definition of commodity, is a raw material that can be bought and sold, such as things like it can be physical and it can be just contracts, and that's where we're going. Like, how can you trade them? In understanding what commodities are. So to understand commodities, everybody needs them. me, you, everybody uses commodities. Even water is a commodity. Water, energy, gold, those are like a little bit more luxurious commodities, like a different section within commodity. But commodities are materials that, you know, we use them in everyday life. And so for it's just simple economics, supply and demand. The lower the supply, the higher the price. So they trade for a higher price. The higher the supply, such as oil, what is happening, what has been happening this past month. You know, there's so much oil around there that the price has to go down because, you know, nobody's gonna pay more. Simple economics to keep it simple. But yeah, now what is happening? The reason I brought this topic is because I read on my daily news email that there's a shortage of water in California. So there's a really good opportunity right now to buy some commodities on water over there, or like indexes that hold, you know, shares in that area. I myself stay away from commodities when it comes to trading because they are really volatile. If you check oil or energy, they go up, the next day they go down. So I usually don't invest on them because they're very unpredictable. But if you're a trader, it's a really good option. I trade gold. Actually,
That is a commodity, though.
yeah, I just realized that I trade commodities, but I do not invest on commodities. I wanted to say that.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you got?
No, that's it. So it's pretty simple. In terms of trading them, you can usually find some sort of ETF variation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a stock ETF, and you usually can find one that goes with the trend and one that goes against the trend. So one that goes long and one that goes short.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you take gold, right? You got JNUG and JDST. JNUG goes with the trend. So as gold goes up, JNUG goes up, and as gold goes down, JDST, the opposite, the inverse goes up. So the cool thing about the trading commodities is that usually you're going to find like a pair of these ETF stocks where you can trade the ups and downs and still make profit regardless. But as you mentioned, they're extremely volatile. They tend to move very fast, and one of the biggest issues with these ETF stocks is that they're usually leveraged. So sometimes they can be double leveraged or triple leveraged. So they're either moving 2 or 3 times faster than what the actual commodity is moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done it and I've traded it, and I've gone from green to red in literally like a snap of a finger. Like I've gone up from like 500 down to 1,000, just simply because they move that quickly. And depending on the day, let's say I've seen a day where gold jumps like 5%. That means JNUG and JDC are moving about 15.
Mm-hmm.
In those moments, in those trades, if you're not paying attention, you don't have your risk management and lock in profits, you can lose all your money because you go from the top all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. Indeed. They're very risky, but they, like I said, if you trade them well, if you know how to trade, you put time and effort because you need energy and you gotta be monitoring all the time. They definitely are very profitable. That's how a lot of people make money too. But yeah, so just to keep it simple, just to like kind of summarize, if you buy a future contract, like in a commodity, you agree to purchase that asset at that predetermined price of the future date. Investor can buy futures contracts for commodities like crude oil and West, foreign currencies exchanges, precious metals, stocks, or bonds. So, you know, just like a brief definition so you can understand a little bit more. Okay, so any news updates on my end? So Uber is getting away from the self-driving
Oh
industry.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's interesting. They spend almost like 500 million every year, and they didn't do, so super expensive because the technology is not there yet. And this raises the concern about Tesla because they market it as a self-driving car. They market it as like autopilot, but it's not necessarily self-driving yet. It's not necessarily self-driving technology because it doesn't work as it's intended to do. It's just based on sensors. It's based on data that collects at the moment. But that definition of like self-driving is literally that you tell the car like go to point A and go to point B and it goes. but you still, like on a Tesla, you still have to be present at the moment and ready to, like, engage.
Right.
And yeah, because they advertise the new cars, like the Model 3, they advertise it as full self-driving car, and it's not full self-driving car yet. So it's very expensive, and a lot of companies and a lot of startups actually have been stepping outside of this industry. But we have, GM, we have Tesla, we have a lot of big car manufacturers are really investing on this technology already.
Right. So I would also say there's a couple things here. So with that Uber deal, or that Uber news, so they sold that department of Uber Technologies, I believe it was called, or something like that, Advanced Technologies. So they sold it to a different company, a startup. And the whole point is, if the startup can make it work, Uber is going to have like a 20 to 30% stock in the company. So, they sold it. And if it's successful, they retain 20 to 30%, whatever the business does, the new business.
Yeah, they sold it to Aurora, a startup.
Aurora.
Yeah, the ATG, the Uber Aurora Innovations. That's interesting. That's very good. I mean, Advanced Technology Group. You were right.
It's also one other thing that I completely forgot to mention. So, as I like to say here, that I like trading my electric vehicles now, right? So with Neo, there's one thing that that came up recently, and that they've been actually doing for a while. So they've been working with a company called Mobileye, which is a subsidiary of Intel. And their whole thing is, again, to obtain that autonomous driving, right? So the self-driving car. I think you can find a video on YouTube that's called just Mobileye self-driving or something like that. In any case, Neo is working with them to build out an autonomous vehicle. So that's another company that's on its way to trying to develop that autonomous driving like Tesla. So there is competition in that field. Also, we just talked about Uber. So that's a third company that's trying to develop it. So now we just have to wait and see who gets there first.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an innovating technology, but usually when it comes to automating self-driving, a car manufacturer doesn't have to be involved like fully, because they can just buy the data. And I feel like that's why Google has a huge advantage with their company. I forgot the name of it. It's a catchy name too. But anyways, they have a company like the car manufacturing as well. But because Google Maps dominate the mapping industry, they're definitely the top, because all the data that they collected throughout these years, and Google Maps is still being one of the top maps that everybody uses, and incorporating it with Wave that Google also bought back in the day, back like 2 or 3 years ago. It just has the data. It just has the data. It has the resources. I'm putting a bet on Google. They come with the self-driving cars first.
All right.
If
Well,
not Tesla.
I mean, then that's 4 companies that are in the running to try to develop it first. So we just have to wait and see who gets there.
Yes, sir.
Any other news for me, or that's it?
Sorry. Other than that, I'm reading here a COVID-19 update. The U.S. now averaging about the same numbers of coronavirus-related deaths per day as during the first wave in April, around 2,200 deaths per day.
Damn.
That shit is real.
Well,
so.
getting up there, but again, stay safe. Try to avoid going out and gathering situations when you don't have to. But yeah, that's it. For me, there's not really anything particularly news update worthy. Still trading my stocks.
Can just finish that sentence?
Go ahead.
All right, last thing. The UK will administer a COVID-19 vaccine today.
Oh,
so they actually administer it today. We'll see tomorrow the news. For the first time, through the first 800,000 doses will go to selected groups. All right, so they use
so we'll
the
get to see
vaccine
what
today.
happens here.
We'll
see what kind of side effects we get now. Maybe
they're the guinea pigs.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Well, that concludes the day. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Correct?
Peace. Yeah, that's it. Peace out.
Peace.